we rebuild the older parts of our city, we will have jobs in those retail establishments. If you go to Costco, if you go to Home Depot, look at who works there. People who come from the community around those stores. They have jobs. If we repopulate the older parts of our community with retail centers, we will have jobs.
As Jim characterized it, what we need to do is repopulate all parts of the city with retail. That's a worthwhile ultimate objective. But the reality is that there are many areas of the city where city-assisted retail have struggled, and there's a reason for that in some of those areas, where the areas where, in many cases, there's relatively less population because there's been population loss, and where the people who live there too often don't make enough money to be able to support the square footage that exists of retail in those areas. It's important to note that in Kansas City right now, in the urban core area, and I'm talking very broadly, I'm talking about even going as far south as 435, that 12% of the square footage that exists right now in retail is vacant. That means 1 out of every 8 storefronts in Kansas City is vacant because we've lost population, there's relatively less income to support that retail. What is going to work ultimately for the city is getting the horse before the cart, and that means generate income in those areas. What can work in those areas and work every time is the development of business parks where you have manufacturing distribution companies that are selling to markets much wider than the 1 or 2 or 3 miles immediately around them. They don't require in the immediate area disposable income. They require a labor force. That labor force can be partnered up with job training programs to provide long-term skills for the people who live in that area, but also provide employment opportunities. We have in Kansas City, particularly the city's east side and the southern part of town, we have a remarkable infrastructure of available land. We have highway and arterial street access that is second to none. We are the second largest rail center in the United States after the city of Chicago. There's nothing about developing business parks that is especially novel. I had the opportunity twice in my career in 2 different cities to develop those kinds of business parks. Each one of them has in excess of 1,000 employees in them. It's entirely possible you could have in the city's east side, in the southern part of the city, including places like Bannister, these kind of business parks that you could generate literally thousands of jobs. It's not like it hasn't been done. The virtue is that once you have those kind of business parks and jobs at that scale, they tend to pay pretty well, those kinds of jobs. And when you have that disposable income that's been created from those new jobs, that disposable income makes retail possible, because now you have more people who have disposable income. They can support the retail that has otherwise failed.